Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Cavan-Smith. Tonight, hundreds of passengers are stranded in Kenya because of a strike at Nairobi's international airport. Aviation workers say that they're worried about a planned takeover for the running of the airports. Also, Russia threatens to deport African fans who headed over last March for the World Cup but still haven't left. But many say that they're victims and are being prevented from leaving by traffickers. And Ivorian farmers who invested heavily in the promise of the fair trade brand in the mid-2000s now are struggling to make ends meet despite an uptick in the production of the crop. But first, Kenya's military stepped in to cover security and screening at Nairobi's international airport after a strike left hundreds of people stranded. The walkout by aviation workers was over a planned change in management of the country's airports. Laura Berstecker tells us more.
Kept in the dark for hours, without any information, hundreds of passengers stranded at Nairobi's international airport were beginning to show signs of frustration.
I wish the airport officials would come out and give us more information about how long we're going to wait or where we should wait, because right now it's just everybody pushing past everybody else.
The strike followed a call by the Kenya Aviation Workers Union to oppose a planned takeover of the airport by Kenya Airways, the country's struggling national airline. Many fear the merger could result in widespread staff layoffs.
You can't allow a collapsing company like Kenya Airways to take over Kenya Airports Authority.
The protests caught authorities by surprise. Riot police fired tear gas in an attempt to disperse the crowd and arrest union leaders. But travelers were also caught in the crossfire, sparking chaotic scenes as people tried to flee, sometimes with their luggage. Several strikers and passengers suffered minor injuries, yet Kenya's transports minister said the use of force was justified, as workers had not given official notice of their action, making the strike illegal.
It is called economic sabotage. It is something which cannot be tolerated. It is criminal activity. And that's why you found the security agencies are here. They managed to chase away everybody who was bringing trouble.
The minister also said workers did not need to worry about the airport's possible change of ownership and that he had given guarantees that the merger wouldn't result in any job losses.
Kenya and Somalia have agreed to stay cordial in a bitter maritime border dispute. Following talks in Nairobi mediated by Ethiopia's leader, Abiy Ahmed, Kenya's president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and his Somali counterpart, Abdullahi Mohammed, committed on Wednesday to work towards peace over the issue. Last month, Kenya recalled its ambassador in Mogadishu and accused Somalia of selling oil and gas blocks of the disputed oil and gas-rich region of the Indian Ocean. Somalia's denied this and said that it is waiting on the International Court of Justice to take a decision on the delineation of the area. 2 South African farmers have been sentenced for the murder of a black 15-year-old boy who they threw from a moving vehicle after accusing him of stealing $5 worth of sunflowers. Matomalo Moswe's death in 2017 caused outrage in the country. The 2 defendants, Pieter Doreward and Philip Schutter, were found guilty last October of murder, kidnapping, intimidation, theft, and the pointing of a firearm. The judge remarked that the black majority community revolted over the murder. It stirred up racial tensions, and white-owned businesses were targeted by furious protesters.
Accused number 1, you will effectively serve 18 years imprisonment. So accused number 2, you will effectively serve 23 years imprisonment.
Thousands of people from Africa headed to Russia to watch the World Cup last year. But 7 months later, many are still there. Moscow's threatened to deport anyone who overstayed their welcome. But many say that they can't leave because they've fallen victim to exploitation and trafficking networks. Erin Ogunkei tells us more.
For many, the 2018 World Cup in Russia offered not only entertainment, but new professional opportunities. For others, it marked the beginning of months of hardship and, in some cases, exploitation. Blessing Obuson traveled to Moscow from Nigeria. Like many, she hoped to eventually find a job. Instead, she says human traffickers confiscated her passport once she arrived saying they would only give it back once she paid them $50,000. She was then forced to work as a prostitute alongside 11 other Nigerian women.
And when we woke up, a lot of Nigerians, girls, were trafficked because it was easier for them to come to Russia because you don't need visa, you don't need invitation, you don't need to pay for anything. Just buy your ticket, and ticket costs about $50 for a match, and you buy your ticket to come to Russia, you're here. Nobody's going to question you.
2 Nigerians have since been arrested and charged with human trafficking in Obusan's case, though many like hers remain unresolved. Traffickers were able to facilitate the arrival of victims with the help of fan IDs. The documents allowed visa-free entry to supporters with match tickets. NGO workers estimate that more than 2,000 Nigerian women were brought in on fan IDs.
The majority of the migrants were the victims of fraud. And that fraud has led to the situation that there are many Nigerians with illegal status in Russia and on the streets. And there's also a criminal element, specifically brothels and sexual slavery.
Authorities have said more than 1,800 Nigerians who entered Russia with fan IDs had still not left by their expiration date of January 1st, 2019.
Ivory Coast was quick to adopt fair trade cocoa around the mid-2000s. Today, almost 200 cooperatives are certified, representing about 120,000 farmers. Now, the volume of cocoa sold through the scheme's risen sharply from 25 tons in 2004 to over 150,000 in 2017. But many farmers say that despite all that was promised, they're still struggling to make ends meet. Our correspondents report.
This plot of land is different to the surrounding small holdings. It's a pilot project in agroforestry.
The plantation is in rows, so you have a row of cocoa trees and a row of banana trees.
The principle behind it is diversification. Much taller trees such as papaya are planted alongside vegetables like yams. This mix gives a better yield, plus it helps restore forest cover lost to farming, improves the soil, and means more diversified incomes for farmers.
Here we've got the orange tree. There's no cocoa right now, so this way the farmer can still take oranges to market to tide him over.
Originally set up as a fair trade cooperative, this initiative could become essential because in the east of Ivory Coast, droughts and crop diseases frequently decimate the plantations. Healthy cocoa pods like this are a matter of survival for Ngwande Afue. So when her yields fell by 2/3 in just 3 years, she decided to get into fair trade cocoa.
As well as buying our cocoa at a fixed rate, by joining the Fair Trade Cooperative, we get the benefits at the end of the year.
These advantages include a premium of $200 for every ton of cocoa, which is intended to ensure a decent income for the growers. In return, child labour and forest clearing are banned. However, 77% of the farmers certified as fair trade are living below the poverty line in Ivory Coast.
Even though my older sons are grown up, I've still got my younger sons to look after. I don't get much from cocoa, so I make up for that with banana and cassava. And even that, I use it up. It's not easy.
Both the price per tonne fair trade offers and its premiums are set to increase this year. But there's still the issue of finding buyers for the fair trade cocoa. The Kenya cooperative has 1,500 farmers who grow 6,000 tonnes of cocoa. But last year, only 200 tonnes were sold via fair trade.
All the farmers want to follow fair trade standards. They go out of their way, but after all that, there isn't the market. Then they become discouraged and might not follow the standards anymore.
Supply far exceeds demand. What happens next for farmers here is down to consumers in Europe and North America.
That's it for Eye on Africa for now. For more news and headlines from the continent and from around the world indeed, feel free to check out our website, www.france24.com. Otherwise, we'll be back in about 45 minutes with more. Take care.